people were so against Hackensack for at least 30 or 40 years, the outsiders, the developers.
What were the benefits of being here in Hackensack?
They were able to approve project in one night. I mean, that's unheard of.
That one-way street was the biggest detriment.
So today I'm really excited because we've done at least 400 podcast episodes already.
We have.
But one of my favorite guests is here today, Mayor John Labrosse from the city of Hackensack. Welcome, Mr. Mayor.
Welcome,
good to
welcome,
be here.
welcome.
And it's about time that you're here. I know we just asked you recently, but you know Hackensack is my life. And I know for the last 8 years, at least, if not forever, it's been your life. So, you know, hearing
More
how...
than 8, right?
For downtown, yeah.
For
downtown,
yeah.
Yeah. Started on the council in 2009, but we got in as a full council in 2013. So it's 11 years.
So, John, you've been instrumental. I'm calling you John. I should probably call you Mr. Mayor.
No, you could call me John.
I've called you so many of those back and forth for the years, but you have done such a great job transforming the city of Hackensack over these years from, you know, what it was, where it had a lot of challenges, to what it is now, which is like we're almost like we're a mini Hoboken at this point, and there's so much coming, and we want to hear how you did it.
How real estate was a part of that.
How real,
yeah,
how
I mean,
real
obviously
estate was a part of it, and why did you even decide to run for mayor? Like, tell us.
Well, back in 2008, I was involved in. There was a move by Hackensack University Medical Center to build a cancer center. And as part of that developers agreement, there was a deal to eliminate 8 paid firemen who were fire-trained EMTs for the city of Hackensack. And I was very friendly with, my best friend was a fire chief at the time. And I got involved with that. And that got pretty intense in the city. There was a lot of protests and things going on. And couple meetings here and there on that, and then I got people saying, gee, you should run for city council. And I really didn't have a political bone in my body at the time. I had no interest in doing it, but kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed. And I always remember what my mother always taught me. If you're going to complain about something, you better do something. Be ready to do something about it. So I did. And I threw my hat in the ring in 2000 for the 2009 election and ran with a council, a separate council than what we have right now. And I was the only one elected at the time. So I sat up there for 4 years. It was an education, that's for sure. And but I had a lot of support from citizens, and my running mates stood by my side while I was up there. And in 2013, we ran as a ticket again, and I was able to. We actually swept. We actually got in. We all got in. So that's when it all started. Yep.
And that's when you started to make sweeping changes in Hackensack, specifically downtown Hackensack. So,
yes.
You know,
when we got in, we found out there was a shortfall on tax appeals of over $30 million. And we needed to come up with a way to pay that down. And our plan was, there was already some short-term plans to redevelop Main Street. And there was already, the rehab plan was in place, which DMR and Fran Reiner did. Well, we took that full steam ahead and moved forward with it. We really, took the bull by the horns, and, we're determined to push it through. And we did just that, all the plans for the two-way Main Street and all the different things we've done.
Sure, I remember having, so I've been alive since 72, but I know back in 1970, the two-way downtown Main Street went from 2 ways to 1 way. Right. And, I've heard from many of the older people, the older folks in the downtown of Hackensack saying that was the kiss of death or the nail in the coffin.
Well, they say a successful downtown needs a 2-way. You're not going to have a successful Main Street without a 2-way street. But paint, both of you, because you've been in Hackensack since God was a baby.
I didn't know I was that old, but thanks.
Paint a picture of what downtown Hackensack was like when you first got into council.
I mean, there were some businesses on Main Street, don't get me wrong, but at 5:30, 6 o'clock, it's like the shades came down and really not much was going on. There were a few small restaurants that were doing okay, but really it wasn't vibrant by any means, not compared to what you see today. And it was, we had our issues. We had a homeless issue in town, quite a few homeless people on Main Street, and we worked with Julia Orlando from the homeless shelter here, the Bergen County Homeless Shelter, and also with our police director at the time, Mike Mordaga. We created what was called the Quality of Life Initiative, which worked on getting the homeless off the streets and finding them shelter and, hopefully places to live and so move on with their lives. And it worked pretty well. And I'm not going to say you don't see a homeless person here or there.
But definitely much less.
Yes,
much less.
A lot less. Yeah.
And we help them. The initiative helps them, gets them into the shelter. They may be afraid to, so they get counseling, and we get them help, and
Sure.
so they can better their lives and live a better life. So that was a plus doing that. But, we knew in order to make downtown successful, we would have to clean up the streets.
So we had window shades being pulled down at 5:30. We had homeless here. What were some of the other? We had a single one-directional street on the way out. What other?
Believe it or not, that one-way street was the biggest detriment. That was
Wow.
the biggest problem. You mentioned it before that it was one-way back up to, I think it changed in '77, if I'm not mistaken.
Good year for
I
people.
remember as a young boy coming to Main Street, we had the two huge movie theaters, the Fox and the Oritani, which held between almost 8,000 people between the two of them. Beautiful theaters, all the best clothing stores, restaurants, everything was on Main Street. So when the malls came, everybody knows what the malls did to all downtowns in Bergen County, not just
Sure.
Hackensack. I mean, Ridgewood had a great downtown. Westwood had a great downtown. Englewood. But after the malls opened, they all recovered. They were able to reinvent themselves. But the downfall of Hackensack was that one-way street. It was like one way out of town. Now your Main Street became a thoroughfare, just like River Road or State Street, or to get one way out of town, I always called it. And that was a heavy lift to get that done, to bring it back to two-way. The cost was over $6 million.
Wow.
It's not just turning traffic lights around and signs. There's a lot
Studies.
of infrastructure.
Yeah.
As you may not know, Hackensack was one of 3 municipalities in Bergen County that had combined sewers. So in order to, right off the bat, knowing we were going to do some development, we had to take care of our infrastructure. We put a lot of money into that, separating the sewers downtown and from the stormwater. We were getting upwards of 70 to 80 overflows into the Hackensack River every year.
Wow.
And the EPA and DEP were mandating that we take care of that too. So that had to get done. And we were able to do that because of redevelopment. So the redevelopment is what is really saving Hackensack and allowing us to do all the things that we're doing besides the downtown. There's a lot of other things going on in the city, which are great.
Sure. So we also had major zoning changes, which were started, I think, when you were that one of 5.
Correct.
I know it was started back then, and then you guys took it and even pushed it even further. So having that zoning change, was that also a very big part of redeveloping?
That was huge because that was built right into the rehab plan. Now, the rehab plan is a state plan, state-approved plan. It takes all the zoning out of the picture. The zoning is built into the plan itself. It's like a redevelopment plan. A lot of the way the buildings are built and the features are built into that. Streetscapes are built into that. And it also allowed us to create a situation where, because zoning gets very expensive, blueprints, all that stuff, meetings take, it's not just 1 or 2 meetings, it's months of meetings to get a project through. By streamlining it, by taking the zoning out of the picture, we were able to, most of these projects are done in 1 or 2 nights of planning board, usually one night. I'm talking 400 unit buildings get through in one night of the planning board because all that zoning is out of the way.
So I was going to ask, because if you walk up and down Main Street now, you see all of these huge apartment buildings that are moving in, one called the Phoenix that'll be done quite soon. So was it when you changed the zoning, and when was that all of these developers started moving in and saying, hey, Hackensack is a great place to develop? And what were the benefits of being here in Hackensack?
So when did that happen? That was a councilman, like I said, 2009 I ran. I would say sometime around 2011.
Okay.
It's been a long time.
Well, the Main Street Alliance had hired a group called Streetworks. They gave us a lot of the ideas that we used. They were, especially the one-way street. They said, show me a successful downtown with a one-way street. And you couldn't think of one. So we moved forward from there. And the first project was George Capodagley came here with
I remember that.
his
Meridia
project
on Meridia Metro.
on State Street. 100 State Street was the first project built in the city. He took a gamble on us. What I love about George, he's doing probably another 2 projects in town, definitely 1 more. No, 2 more. And his best line is, I'll bring them here, meaning the people, but you have to keep them here. So
Right.
we had to develop something to keep them here, and that's part of what the downtown is about.
Right. That's what the special improvement district is doing, trying to create an environment and create energy. And we have our hack pack, which we got done here.
Well, what are those benefits of this downtown that make it so developable?
Well, I think for me, being a real estate investor and a developer in the city, and just being around it and helping the mayor and council get all this stuff done over the years, it was changing the mindset of the people. People were so against Hackensack for at least 30 or 40 years. The outsiders, the developers, everybody was afraid to do a project here because it was so hard to get through the planning or the zoning board. And the mayor mentioned a minute ago how they were able to approve project in one night. I mean, that's unheard of.
Right.
You know, so people were coming to me as developers looking for opportunities. And I'm like, I promise you, it's going to get approved in one night. And, you know, the mayor and council were telling me this. And I was a little nervous because, you know, you tell me it's going to happen. But once that first one happened, you're like, holy shit, it's real. And it just opened the floodgates.
Yeah.
But then there are other things like Hackensack is an amazing area with transportation. So you have New Jersey Transit, you have the bus lines, you're on Route 4 or Route 80. I mean, you're really easy. It's very commutable.
Did that transportation help you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not only that, we went to the state and we were designated as a transit village, which was very important. We have the second largest bus station. Believe it or not, it's the second largest bus station in the state of New Jersey.
Really?
And we have 2 train stations.
Yes.
And really almost 3 if you count the one that's in River Edge, but it's right on the Hackensack border, which is used by Hackensack residents. So great access to transportation, like you said. Great access to all the major highways, Garden State Parkway, Route 4, 46, 80, 17. They're all right here. And they all go every direction you could possibly want to go. So we're 20 minutes by train away from the path tubes in Hoboken. And bus lines directly into the city. There's express bus lines. And right now there's a project the county's doing at the old probation site, which is going to put in a new bus depot, where the buses will be off the street and inside, all right? Then there'll be a couple levels of parking. Then there'll be some public parking and workforce housing.
Oh, that's awesome. Is that approved yet?
They only have to come in front of us, you know, as a courtesy review, and it was approved. It was actually the city plan to begin with. We presented it to County Executive Tedesco over 10 years ago. And his administration, we wanted to buy that lot from the county and move forward because we were already working with New Jersey Transit and a developer to do that. And he turned around and says, I like the project so much, we're going to do it ourselves. So still waiting for it, but it's just about underway. So looking forward to that.
Let's get it done. That's like one of the last empty lots in the downtown.
Yeah, it is.
So what would you say was your that moment in your 12 years? What was that moment where you're like, we did it?
You know, you have that moment. I make a habit of driving down Main Street every morning before I go to work, just to look at things. You know, things change so fast every day. Oh, look what's going up here. You know, they're breaking ground on something. But the moment hasn't, in reality, hasn't really come yet because there's so much more to do to get it to this point. What I would call the point of no return.
Good answer.
I want this city to be at the point of no return because I'm not going to be doing this forever. All right. And there's going to be new people
4 more
in
years.
Here. We are running it again, but I can't bear the thought of somebody getting their hands on it and turning it around before it's really past that point of no return. That just I can't let that happen.
So it's great that you say that. I love the energy and the commitment behind that, but it's also great that you say that because so many people see all this amazing stuff, and let me say I'm amazed because I think I was such a big dreamer back then of what we could do. And some of the stuff that's here is more than I even thought we'd accomplish. So I'm super happy, but agree, we're not quite done yet. So I love the fact that you still feel that there's more and we're doing more. And that's exactly the answer I wanted to hear. So awesome.
Let's not forget the curveball that was thrown at all of us during the rebuilding of this city. We got hit with the pandemic.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Which was devastating. It didn't stop the buildings. Redevelopment kept on going. We worked with the state, and because these were state pilot programs, we considered it state work, so we kept moving, and they said, okay, go ahead. But it devastated retail. It really did. Everybody, not just here, everywhere. And coming back from that is hard.
Yeah.
And retail is the tricky part right now, really getting, but I'm starting to see, turning a corner on that as well. Main Street will never be the Main Street it was back when I was young, because the malls are still there. And the malls are actually, they're getting beat up a little bit too with
They are.
internet
A
shopping.
lot of people are coming back to Main
And
Street.
I think people are actually going back to the old style of living in a town and doing your shopping in the town. And you don't even have to go to the mall anymore because you just buy online. So I think you're going to see that. That's going to be the trend. And the type of retail is going to be a little different. There's going to be a lot more restaurants than
Food.
stuff. Yeah, a lot of restaurants.
If I am a real estate investor, how can I get involved? And I'm not involved in Hackensack at all, but I want to be involved. How
Right.
can I get involved with what's going on here? Where are the places that I could fit in?
Well, if you're looking for advice on how to build a building, for instance, if you wanted to develop an apartment building or even a business, I would reach out to Albert Dibb, our head of economic development citywide. And there's also, I do a lot of different things. We do seminars at Bergen Community College and other places, which are all about, we have panelists of mayors and business people that speak to those things. And those are the things to look for if you're looking to develop or do something. So if you reach out to your real estate people, they all know about that.
Sure, we do.
Yep,
Yep.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
And what are the next big things that are happening? What are the next steps in the redevelopment? What am I going to walk outside and
Well,
see?
the YMCA is the next big thing to happen. That got passed last planning board. They got their site plan approval. It's a beautiful building. What's really nice is the Main Street frontage has like a 40-foot setback plaza,
Awesome.
which is
Wow,
very
that's
nice. They did a nice job designing the building. It's really, really nice. All four sides are, no matter where you look at it from, it's beautiful. And we had a couple. That was actually a 2 planning board meeting. One because they had some issues. We sent them home to
think about.
change a few things and come back, and they did that, and we were happy that they did. Across the street from that, at 359 Main Street, where the credit union was, that's going to be a sister development to the Crossroads, which is right across from Noches there. Not sure of the address, but I think it was 379, and that's demoed, and they broke ground for that already. So, but there's other sites on Main Street. Just south of the Brick. They've acquired that property, and we're waiting for them to come with some plans for that. I think it's going to be downsized from what their original ideas were. But there's a project going on the Anderson Street corridor going up now. It's probably about 3/4 of the way done.
And a new one coming because we just sold that. So
New one
that's
coming.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New one coming on the Walgreens site. So, yeah. And that property was, you had a gas station, probably been abandoned for 8-10 years. The laundromat was gone out of there. The little restaurant was gone. Walgreens is closing. So that was crying for redevelopment there. Really needs to be.
And it was a tough one to get through, but we did it. So we're super excited.
Yep.
And I can't wait. That's going to be, I think, 350 units over there.
They're looking for 350 units. Yep.
And with retail, Hackensack has done so well. And I know this is a testament to the brokers and real estate agents and commercial agents that work in the downtown, but also to the mayor and the council by bringing in names that people really want to go to. I know my 12-year-old was so excited when he came down here and he was like, there's a Pliable. And that's all he wanted because that's what 12-year-olds like. But things like that, things like the Starbucks that's now here, things like the Salad Works that now you can get a fresh salad for lunch.
Went there for the first time about 2 weeks ago. I was impressed. There were only about 4 of us eating in there, but there must have been 60 takeout bags waiting to be picked up. So that's,
so things like that make people really excited, and it's very familiar to them, and they know what they're getting, and they want to be around it.
But those takeout bags are probably going to the apartments above and around.
a lot of them are.
So
I'm sure.
prior to having all this residential on Main Street, we wouldn't have been able to support those restaurants.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it really works in hand in hand, having retail on the bottom and residential on top. And I think our vision, you know, between the Main Street Alliance and the city has knocked it out of the park. And I can't wait for it just to keep going.
What I really appreciate is, and people don't think about this, is the amount of jobs it's created from the get-go. From construction, there's probably been thousands of workers working on these buildings if you combine them all together. All the people that run these buildings once they're open, you know, all these new people working in restaurants, and you know, the general public, I don't think even think of that. And a lot of those people are Hackensack residents.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's important, and you know, we appreciate everything they do because they're helping to rebuild the city as well.
It's huge, and you see the people all over the place. So another thing that I've been very excited about is this Hack Pack that we've had for the last couple of years. How does that play into your downtown?
So just
feel?
so people know, Hack Pack, Hackensack Performing Arts Center.
Come on, everybody knows that.
No, not everyone knows that. Performing Arts Center.
So
Go ahead.
the Hack Pack started with, there was a parking lot. I mean, that building was there, but there was an old decrepit parking lot on Atlantic and Warren right there between all the lawyers. And when I was on the other council, they were fiddling with putting something there, and Fran Reiner had designed a park for there, and they got a lot of pushback from the attorneys at the time. But in the meanwhile, the election came, we got in, you know, and my motto was at that time was, you don't own that parking lot, we do. So you don't get to tell us what to do with it.
Makes
so
sense.
we moved forward, put that beautiful Atlantic Street Park there. We had already acquired what was a Mason's Lodge, used to be a Methodist church, built in the 1920s, beautiful old building. And we bonded and created this beautiful art center, and you know, cultural arts center we call it. And it's been great. But again, pandemic came in, you know, and that stopped any type of entertainment in its tracks. So that building stood empty for over a year. And after having some wonderful, I mean, the gala we had for that, and then the grand opening, and the wonderful shows we had there, big name entertainment.
We had a Christmas party there. That
We had
was
a party
awesome.
there, yeah.
Right before COVID. It was
Yeah.
right before COVID.
And we've
Great time.
continuing on. The Pack the House series is resumed this year.
Good.
Shows will be starting soon, and looking forward to keeping that going.
So is that instrumental for downtown to have an art center?
Absolutely, yeah. It's part of what George said, Capadagli.
Keep
I'll
them
bring
here.
him here. You got to keep him
Yep,
here.
you
So
gotta
we
keep
got
'em
to
here.
find out. And no, we give a lot back to the people too. We have a huge summer concert series where we have anywhere from 4 to 6 shows on the green. And we also have every Friday night during the summer, I think we have 6 or 7 shows in the Atlantic Street Park, which are free to the public. And a lot of people come. And we have movies under the stars. We got Shakespeare in the park. We got yoga in the park. We got-
Hackensack has a kick-ass 4th of July.
Yes, we've had that for quite a long time. We pull upwards of, I'd say, 8 to 10,000 people.
Nice.
And people from all over come to the Hackensack fireworks. We always give them great entertainment. There's stuff for the kids. There's food trucks, and it's a great way to spend the 4th of July. Yeah.
Now, before we go, I want to know, there's a mayor out there that has a city that is just like Hackensack back in 2009. What is your number one piece of advice for that mayor?
Streamline all the red tape that usually takes place in government. That will attract your investors and your developers. The investment to sometimes put a project up can run into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and there's no guarantee it's going through. So by just doing basic renderings and plans without all the the crazy stuff we used to have to do, you can usually get it through in 1 or 2 nights. So that's
Awesome.
You said that made all the difference
That
for
made
you.
a huge
Yeah.
difference. And,
Yeah.
and what would you ask your residents and your business owners and your landlords? What should we be doing to help you to make this that final?
Well, to the business owners, I would tell every one of them to hook up with the Main Street Alliance, all right? Because that's a shoulder to lean on. They have a lot of they have available grants for storefronts. There's a lot of money there that they can.
And that's the
get.
Hackensack Special Improvement District.
Yes, that's a special improvement district, and it's been quite helpful, and a lot of our store owners have been able to use it and get some low interest loans or stuff put away for their storefronts, and stick with it and have a business plan. That's really important when you're going into business, is to have a really good business plan. But work with the Main Street Alliance and the SID, and that would be a big help.
Okay. And what about your residents?
Which ones? The new ones or the old ones?
Both. What do they need to do to help you build the city?
Well, the new ones are, they're like we figured, they're millennials, all right? And there's some empty nesters. And the millennials you don't see a lot of. I think a lot of them work from home, so they stay in. But a lot of times I see them in the coffee shops with their laptops out. If you go on Iconic Coffee in the afternoon, there's probably 15, 20 people working their laptops in there. So those are all people that are working from home. And as far as our longtime residents, there's been some pushback. I can't say there hasn't been. Some people just don't like change. I was talking to one woman, and she goes, "Oh, downtown's terrible." Like, "Oh, when's the last time you've been there?" She goes, "I haven't been there in 20 years. Why would you go downtown?" I was like, "You just made my point.
Exactly.
We want to make it so you go back downtown and you're proud of it like we used to be." And a lot of the younger residents that live at homeowners that are, in the suburban area of Hackensack, have no knowledge of what our downtown was like back in the day and what it could be. So it's hard to sell that to them, but we're doing it. And our job is to stand our ground and move the city forward. We know what the city needs. We've been successful at it, and doesn't mean we don't listen to residents. We just, doesn't mean that if they have concerns that we're not going to address them when we talk about a development. But that said, development needs to happen. It's just, this window is going to close someday. As far as developers looking to do this, the market right now is hot as ever. For the need for housing is higher than ever.
True.
So, people say, why you keep going? Well, that's the reason. It's market driven, and as a business person, that's, if it's market driven and the drive is there and the need is there, you're going to keep doing it.
So you want your residents to support you. You want your business owners to work with the places that are here to help them. Last question. How has the interest rate environment affected your plan for the city of Hackensack?
The which environment?
Interest rate. The higher interest rate.
Oh, the interest rate. I'm sure it has. I mean, and I got to give kudos to my deputy mayor, because as you know, she handles all the redevelopment, all the meetings and everything, because I do work full time. And it's hard for me to get out sometimes for these meetings. And but I have full confidence in Deputy Mayor Canestrino and what she does, and she's tough as nails, so she's always looking out for the citizens.
Oh, she has a soft side. Come on.
Yeah, she definitely has a soft side, but when it comes to business and numbers,
yes, she's
her.
Right on point.
She's good, and she's she gets the citizens the most bang for their buck from these developers. I can tell you that. So, I've seen developers walk out of the room sweating after some meetings. So she's a good negotiator.
She's always been lovely to me.
I think she's lovely.
Sweet.
She is lovely, but she's a great negotiator. And
so have the interest rates hurt the city at all, or do you think it's just something we're getting through?
I think the interest rates, well, I think a couple developers are waiting. It's really been the interest rates the last couple of years have been insane with inflation. But it's probably hurt a little bit. I think a couple sites that are ready to go or are still waiting for somebody to take the bait and, let's get this thing done. But it'll happen soon.
And again, we're so excited to have you here. I'm super excited having known you for such a long time.
No, it's my pleasure.
Watching you help the city of Hackensack, bringing it back. Yep. Hopefully we're going to be better than Hoboken.
Well, it's been a team effort. And when I say team, I mean everybody. I mean the developers, the city council, the administration. And one of the big points that people have to realize is home costs. Your home assessments have gone up tremendously as far as your house may have been worth $400,000 2 years ago. Now it's $650,000. And, I look at that as money in the bank for those people. Right. And I know it is for me. I'm a homeowner, and I know my house has gone up at least $200,000 in the last few years. So that's money in the bank. And hopefully the interest rates will drop down and the houses stay up. I mean, that's really
And the better we make the downtown, the more people are going to want to live in Hackensack. So anyone who says don't fix the downtown, they're got to be crazy.
Another big part of the plan, I know we're short on time, but when we did this, we certainly didn't want to burden our schools because everybody, and that's a concern. And the schools had a legitimate concern. You're building all these buildings where we would put all these kids. And we basically said, if we get to the point where it's affecting the schools, we're going to jump in and help. All right. But the schools have actually leveled off. They're actually down about 400 students over the last 4 years. Yeah.
So development hasn't done anything to the schools. That's crazy.
But they're all 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. So
that's what they were saying.
Right.
Over
So
there,
you're
not
going
to worry, but the residents still worried. I get it.
Yeah.
Well, it's a legitimate worry.
Yeah, of course.
And we worry too. But we go with, we use the Rutgers study for that, and they were pretty much spot on. But and the other good thing we put out of this, we created overlay zones for affordable housing throughout the city, where it's 10% mandatory. There is no buyout where you can put into the Affordable Trust Fund. And, that's a big help to the city moving forward because those areas eventually are going to develop and have to meet that 10% requirement.
Sure.
Yep.
Look, you seem to have gotten all the points for making downtown Hackensack a place to go. If someone out there, our listeners, if you haven't visited downtown Hackensack, you need to check it out.
Thanks for watching this episode. Now don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And we'll see you next time.